Welcome back to our 32 for 32 NFL preview series. I am Michael Lipinski. I am joined, as always, that way by Brett Halpern, and this is the Goal Line Stand. And we are talking New Orleans Saints football. Oh man, I should have worn beads. I wasn't even thinking about that.
Wow.
To fit the whole thing. But we're talking New Orleans Saints. Had a great year last year. Fell a little bit short again, but here we are.
Is it bad to wear the beads when it's not Mardi Gras?
You were asking the wrong person, and
I don't know. I was just wondering.
And I'm not taking my shirt off for the beads. Okay. I'll just go buy them.
Okay.
I think you can you can wear the beads anytime. I'm sure people will chime in here on the comments down at the bottom.
Please. I have no idea. I'm just trying to be educated as to the rituals of Mardi Gras.
Right, and we're having fun. New Orleans, the po' boy, I know it's their big thing, right? It's their big sandwich. Does that entice you at all?
Yes.
Yeah, sausage I like, but I don't like all the shrimp and stuff on a sandwich.
Yeah, well, so I don't know if it is as good as the main po' boy places down in New Orleans. There is a place in Princeton, Hoagie Haven, New Jersey, and actually this relates to the Eagles and the Giants. For the Deshaun Jackson Miracle in the Meadowlands, I had to pick up that sandwich for my friend Greg, who was there. He left early and left half of the sandwich in the stands with me. So I was eating that as the Eagles were coming back. Nice. And I had texted you because you said when the Giants went up by 21, you said, congrats on winning the division. And I responded, it's not over yet. So
and it wasn't over.
No, I mean, I hate it, though I feel vindicated.
But you like the po' boy.
But the po' boy is very good, yes.
Gumbo?
With some hot sauce? No, it was fried shrimp.
No, I know.
Hot sauce. Yeah. Do I like gumbo? Yes. Yeah. I like all New Orleans Cajun Creole cuisine. Yeah. Yes, I'm a fan.
I don't venture that direction. I'm more of a Southern barbecue kind of guy. But people aren't here to listen to us talk about food, although we can go on for hours about that.
That is true.
Let's talk New Orleans Saints. 2019 record, 13-3, the NFC South champions. Acquisitions here on the rather short side.
Yeah, short, but impactful and important, I think. So to me, even though I think he's definitely towards the end of his career, bringing back Malcolm Jenkins was really important. I think that he was a definite upgrade in terms of coverage skills as well as locker room importance. Absolutely. Over Von Bell, who left. I mean, Malcolm Jenkins is just a leader. He's a leader. I mean, come on, he's now a CNN contributor with respect to race relations. So particularly in light of what happened with Drew Brees and, the statements he made regarding the kneeling for the flag, I think it's important now that Malcolm Jenkins is in that locker room because obviously I think he felt very strongly against what Drew Brees said, but he's someone who both appreciates and emphasizes having an open dialogue, which is really important because honestly, what Drew Brees did for some locker rooms, he may have lost the locker room for that. But I don't think that's the case. I think they've overcome that. And I guarantee you Malcolm Jenkins was a big part of that. He's a wonderful guy. Just, every team would be lucky to have a Malcolm Jenkins in their locker room. He's a big reason why the Eagles won a Super Bowl, in my opinion. Even if it wasn't necessarily because of his specific play, that's the kind of guy you want in your locker room.
Absolutely. And from an Eagles fan perspective, that was he replaced Brian Dawkins a decade later. And we're going to get to the Eagles here in a few days, but the Eagles could certainly right now really use Malcolm Jenkins in their locker room with all the things that are going on. Let's keep going down this list. No,
Yeah.
huge notable names.
Yeah. So look, the Saints essentially traded one big name back up for another one with Jameis Winston. I think this is going to help his career, sitting and learning with Drew Brees and with Sean Payton. Because look, he threw for 30 touchdowns last year. The negative is he also threw for 30 picks. So this is not a question of ability. This is a question of refining his game, particularly I think mentally. And I think for him, I think it actually benefits him to take a step back, to be able to watch the game and to learn and to sort of trade thoughts and different things with Drew Brees and Sean Payton. I think that's going to be really beneficial for him. And then lastly, and this one might be the most important one in terms of actual on-field production, Emmanuel Sanders. The Saints, towards the end of the season, it became incredibly obvious. While Michael Thomas had obviously a record-setting career or record-setting season with the number of receptions he had, it became a glaring weakness that they just did not have a legitimate number 2 wide receiver threat. Emmanuel Sanders is that, right? Emmanuel Sanders you could argue he's a number 1 receiver on some teams, but I mean, he is a great number 2 receiver to have, particularly opposite Michael Thomas. So that really opens up the offense for them big time, because before you were just keying on Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas, and that's how you could see the Saints offense was slowing down towards the end of the season. So this really opens it up. That was a big signing.
Agreed. I really like that signing. And Emmanuel Sanders, we talked about it at length with the Niners. Almost, I don't want to say underrated, because he was very good, but underappreciated maybe is the best.
I think he's been underappreciated throughout his career.
That's the best way to put it. Let's talk about Saints opt-outs and guys leaving, departures. Again, interesting list here on the departures. A couple opt-outs as well.
Yeah. Well, I guess quickly just to dispatch of the opt-outs. So the Saints had numerous guys in their tight end room. These guys were really there to add depth. So, to the extent that it hurts the depth issue at tight end, that could be an issue. But aside from that, I don't really think that it's going to have a major impact on the season. With respect to the departures, it's definitely some notable names. Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater went on to he's now the starter at Carolina. Eli Apple, I think this is, an addition by subtraction. For those that have watched several of these, which we hope you have, I'm the Giant fan in the podcast, and Eli Apple is one of the worst picks in Giant history. Didn't like him in Ohio State. Didn't like him. Wasn't worthy of the 10th pick. Not a good team guy. Was tweeting, from the locker room, whatever. I think he was hurt and he was tweeting from the sideline. Look, Landon Collins called him a cancer on the team. I don't know if I'm going to go that far. I think he's soft and just not a guy I would want on my team. And even though Janoris Jenkins, who the Saints picked up towards the end of last season off the waiver wires, he was let go by the Giants because of an off-color remark that Janoris Jenkins made. He's definitely, from a football standpoint, an upgrade. As we mentioned, Von Bell is a decent player, but if you have an opportunity to bring in a Malcolm Jenkins is definitely an upgrade. A.J. Klein was a decent linebacker, but I think lacked a little bit of athleticism to be a 3-down linebacker. We talked about Larry Warford actually in several episodes as relates to the Eagles. And look, I wonder if the Eagles are still looking to bring on a guy like Larry Warford, who's a solid guard.
Well, we might get to that exact name when we get to the Eagles episode.
Yeah.
For those Saints fans who are also Eagles fans, which I don't know, you may be out there.
Yeah, exactly. You never know.
Or if you're a football fan.
Yeah, well, that's the most important thing, because this is what we love doing. But Larry Warford is a very solid player. They appeared to have drafted his replacement, so to speak, with the drafting of Cesar Ruiz, which we'll get to in a minute. Frankly, I thought it was a bit of a surprise departure. I thought they would have re-signed him for Yeah, kind of on the cheap, but he's a very solid starting guard in this league. You ask me.
Weird off season, so maybe that's why he's still out there. When we get to our big prediction show at the end of this, we're going to have a whole segment on free agents that are still there. There's guys that are still out there, that the big names, Jadeveon Clowney. Why are they still out there?
Yeah,
you mentioned it already. Cesar Ruiz, Camden High, IMG Academy, I guess technically speaking. Let's get to the Saints draft.
Yeah,
short and sweet.
Yeah, let me tell you though, those first 3 picks, I really like them. So yeah, for those that are watching, Mike and I, we're from New Jersey, specifically South Jersey. Cesar Ruiz is from Camden, New Jersey, which is right across the river from Philadelphia. We always root for local guys, and it's a really good story. So and look, beyond that, he's a good player. He's actually a center in reality, but he's someone who can play the interior of the offensive line. I think he might be the long-term answer at center. But
Shot
for now,
board, it was nice. It was a nice thing to see.
Yep.
Everyone talked about him being like, we're old school, so day one draft pick guy, first, second, third round, and he climbed real quick. I was hoping that he would sit there a little bit longer, but love that pick. Love that pick by the Saints.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's irrespective of who plays guard or center, it's just he's going to do really well there. Zach Bond, to get him in the 3rd round, when I was doing the mock draft for our show, when I was just evaluating the draft, Zach Bond is one of those guys I kind of sometimes when I would sort of play out the scenarios, he would end up in the tail end of the 1st round, and that's what most people had him as a late 1st rounder, early 2nd rounder. Frankly, I don't know why he slipped to the 3rd round. There weren't any injury issues that I was aware of. This is a guy who both can play pass coverage and is also very effective getting after the quarterback, which is something that I think the Saints really need. They kind of need to create sort of other legitimate pass rushing threats aside from Cameron Jordan. And I think Zach Bond will really do a nice job with that. Adam Trautman from Dayton, obviously lower level of competition playing in the FCS, but really, athletic, good hands, very good prospect. Get him, and that's like right where he was slotted in the 3rd round, but I think he's going to come in and produce as a 2nd tight end for the Saints. The Saints like running 2 tight end sets, and I think they're going to do more of that. The 7th round pick, Tommy Stevens, it's more of a shot in the dark developmental guy. He actually was formerly from Penn State, and he followed the offensive coordinator, Joe Moorhead, down to Mississippi State. He's a little bit more athletic, not as athletic as a Taysom Hill, so I don't necessarily see where there's a spot for him on this roster. But 7th round, some coaches are, and I know Mike is also of the belief that every year draft a quarterback. So that's what they did.
I'm not of the belief that every year you draft.
No, I thought you said that. I didn't say that in like as a shot. Like it's a legitimate line of thought.
Yeah, I think late. Well,
yeah. Well, 7th round is about as late as you can go.
Don't draft a quarterback in the 2nd round when you have a franchise quarterback. Don't do that. Maybe, and I don't know. But yeah, this is. I think that that's a perfect spot to 6th, 7th round to draft one of those kind of guys. If there's ever a coach, I'm not a huge fan of Sean Payton, but if there was ever a coach to make a guy like this work, he's probably it.
Why don't you like Sean Payton?
I don't know.
You're very difficult to please. For those that don't know, please watch our Seattle Seahawks preview video. My dear co-host hates Pete Carroll.
Respectfully,
because he chews gum.
It's not why. It has nothing to do with it.
Because he ran the ball and it cost him a Super Bowl. So then what, Reggie Bush? You loved Reggie Bush that much?
No, he just comes off as a smarmy prick. Not Pete Carroll, not Sean Payton.
Yes.
I think that my problem with Sean Payton is this underlying dance with the devil, as I'd like to call it, and Dallas. Like, he has a really good thing going on in New Orleans, and it seems like every year, and he's a really, really good coach. And every year there's this from whoever's camp that Sean Payton's going to end up in Dallas. He's going to get traded to Dallas and all this stuff. And maybe that's just aggravated.
You know, it's funny. Giant fans, by the end, he was the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants when the Giants went to Super Bowl 35. And a few years later, he was run out of town. And Giant fans were really happy to see him go. But he's an excellent coach.
He's a very good coach. Pete Carroll is a very good coach. I don't like him. Smarmy prick.
Yeah. I'm so glad that's your new word.
Yeah. 4 questions for the New Orleans Saints in 2020. Is this the last year for Drew Brees? Is this the swan song?
I think it is, irrespective of how it goes down. The only thing,
really.
So to me, so this team is Super Bowl or bust, and if they don't win it, I think they got not blow it up, but I think they got to retinker and they need to get in it. Well, and look, maybe they believe it's Jameis Winston, right? I don't know that only the coaching staff knows.
Does no preseason really screw that whole process up? I mean, I
don't think so.
Okay, one of those scenarios where you have a preseason, a traditional preseason, and you could see you could throw Jameis Winston into scenarios where we're not going to play Drew Brees tonight. He doesn't need to be out there. He's fine. We're going to put Jameis Winston out there with the first team against a first team and see how he progresses.
Yeah, but think about it like this, right? So Jameis Winston is now there, and if you were thinking about this in terms of like the length of a school year, you're not even at midterms yet, right? So I think you truly can't evaluate him until the end of the season, and I think it's more about so to speak, in the classroom, in the meeting rooms.
Right.
What is he seeing? Things of that nature. If he wins the Super Bowl, he's done. Drew Brees. He walks like Absolutely. Do the Jerome Bettis, do the Michael Strahan.
You might get a lot of guys on that team that do that.
Yeah, there are a few. If they lose, I think he might want to come back, and that's also because there's no because this is a strange year. He might want to have a swan song in front of fans.
Right.
Think about it. He's probably not even going to be playing in front of his own family this year.
Yeah, crazy to think about it that way, right?
Yeah. But I think from the team's perspective, I think if you don't win this year, you could argue that Drew Brees' game has slipped slightly. I don't think it's fallen off a cliff. I don't think he was what he was a few years ago.
Oh, no, of course not. But
yeah.
I said this when we talked about Tampa Bay. Brady's game, as crazy it is to say this, Tom Brady's game has really fallen. He's not the same guy that he was Super Bowl 52, Super Bowl 53. You can tell that he's got to do things a little bit differently. He's got to be more precise than he was before. Drew Brees, I still think, has just enough left in the tank. And maybe now with a little bit more weaponry on his offense, which we're going to get to in our next question, it becomes a different season for him.
Yeah, no, those are excellent points. But the thing is, at that age, to have to go another year, that's the tough part. So I think Drew Brees might want to come back for one more because of the circumstances with COVID. I don't know if it is in the long-term interest of the Saints to bring him back after this year if they don't win.
It's going to be a great storyline to watch when we get to the end. When we get to our February episodes and we're talking postseason wrap-ups and draft and storylines going into the offseason and hopefully fans.
Yeah.
We kind of discussed it already, but really how important is Emmanuel Sanders? I love this guy. This guy plays football to me. He's not as a wide receiver, just the right way.
Yeah. He's not overly diva-ish.
Yeah, no, he's there. He's good. He's
not smarmy.
He's not a smarmy prick. He makes plays. He comes through in the clutch. I has helped my fantasy team win multiple championships. It's really what it's
I really like him. I'm happy he's assisted you in the fantasy realm. That didn't sound good at all.
fantasy football.
Fantasy football, yeah, I need to really throw that in there. But no, this is as we touched upon. This is really a gigantic signing for them. It opens up the offense tremendously. So it opens up the passing game. It'll help out Michael Thomas. It's going to help out tight ends, and it's going to help out the run game. So just a great signing. And I think it was I'm not saying a league minimum contract, but it was a very team friendly deal.
I agree with you wholeheartedly, and good player, just a really good player.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to switch up a question on you.
Okay.
Because of what is going on with the Saints. So Alvin Kamara is not in camp.
Yeah.
It is a contract dispute.
Yeah.
What and how does this affect this team? Is this something you think they can get over and get situated here? We talked about Malcolm Jenkins being a leader in the locker room, all the different weapons. Now, here you go. You got Drew Brees, maybe his last year. You're trying to get things rolling, and boom, you're number one, arguably.
Yeah.
Your 1A weapon, your 1B, however you want to do it. He's not even holding out. I mean, they started. I don't know what you want to call it. Just not. He's AWOL. He's not showing up.
Yeah, I'm not. If I were a Saints fan, I would not be overly concerned, frankly. So look, if he wanted to opt out, he missed the opportunity. Now you have to meet certain standards to opt out. This is a contract thing. So he's not opting out. He's going to come back because the money that he won't accrue a season, which will hurt him. There's too many things. He doesn't have a ton of leverage, right? And also, frankly, I don't need him practicing. I need him in good shape, right? But I don't need him practicing. I'm okay with it. I mean, think about, we've heard there's just like every year, there's now a lot of these training camp injuries. You don't need Alvin Kamara going down. So I'm fine with it. Just make sure you're somewhere where you're not getting COVID.
Yeah. He's on his final year of a 4-year, $3.86 million deal. Wow. He is grossly underpaid.
Yeah.
So, again, I'd imagine that this is his dangling for an extension.
Yeah.
To get it done and over with before the season starts. Just interesting timing as we're 9 days away from NFL kickoff. 12, 13 days for the Saints.
And here's the other problem. The salary cap's going to go down next year.
Right.
So it's just, I don't know how the team can honestly, of course, Alvin Kamara is in their long-term plans. Like everyone knows that. But I think they just don't know, particularly with Drew Brees, if they have a rookie quarterback next year, it's far cheaper than Drew Brees. You're going to have more money. But because the salary cap will not be as high, I think it's difficult to really, lock yourself up with long-term money right now. So I just think a lot of the leverage is against Kamara right now.
All right, let's move on. Final question. Where do we're going to call them the Jersey kids fit in New Orleans? So Michael Burton, Saquon Hampton, the aforementioned Cesar Ruiz. Where do these guys fit? Bring a little bit of New Jersey toughness to NOLA.
Yeah, so I'm going to go in terms of most likely to make roster and make impact the least likely. Cesar Ruiz, obviously, he's the first-round pick. He's safe on the roster, and I think he's going to be a centerpiece of that offensive line for a very long time. Michael Burton, from all reports, it looks like he is the clear-cut fullback on the team, and this is one of the few teams that actually employs a fullback in their offense.
That's a good landing spot for him. That's a place where New Orleans is a place where he will be used.
Yeah, and for Saints fans that are not familiar with Michael Burton was a walk-on at Rutgers, came on and played his high school career as a tailback, and even he continued to get bigger and bigger. He's He's a legitimate 240, 245, but he has good hands. He can run the ball. So I think he fits it. He's not Mike, what was the name of that fullback for the Lorenzo Neal?
Right.
Lorenzo Neal was but Rathman was a weapon.
Yeah.
Lorenzo Neal was just known as this bowling ball who's just going to knock people over for LaDainian Tomlinson.
No, yeah, he's not that kind of guy. I mean,
Burton can block.
He can block. Yeah.
He is a legitimate, you can use him as an offensive weapon.
Absolutely.
He's going to catch the ball. He can run the ball. So Saints fans, honestly, I think he is a good pickup. And then lastly, Saquon Hampton from out of Rutgers is a safety. He was the 6th round pick last year for the Saints. I think he's fighting for a roster spot. I think he's like the 51st through 53rd guy. So I'm hopeful. I think he's a good player. He's a good locker room guy. Always, and as Mike and I well know, when you're losing, 78-0, it's difficult to give it your all. But this is one of the kids that always, irrespective of who the coach was, always bought into the program. You never heard anything bad about him. Was very good in the community. Was very involved with the Special Olympics. He's a good player. I think he always had a knack for the ball. He had a lot of interceptions in his career at Rutgers. So I'm hopeful he has a chance. And look, if there's one thing that Rutgers guys are known for, it's special teams. It kind of went away with Chris Ash a little bit, but I'm also hopeful that Hampton will kind of stick around because of special. He's an effort guy.
Right.
So that always bodes well for special teams.
Absolutely. And we will give you our predictions on the Saints for our big prediction show coming up next Tuesday, right? Tuesday is our drop date.
Yep.
Tuesday, I don't know, whatever day.
Yeah.
8th, 9th?
8th.
I don't know. I don't have a calendar here.
Yeah, it's the 8th.
Ill prepared.
That's all good.
Anyway, yes. So if you're a daily fantasy guy, player prop bets, check out our partner Thrive Fantasy, scrolling down there on the bottom in the show notes. Use code SEC247. When you deposit 20 or more, you get a free $20. That's always worth it. They're looking to pay out $50K NFL week 1. So you like money, I like money. That's worth it. Mike, that's Brett. We'll see you tomorrow.